Okay, I'm going to call to order the Town of Harwich Board of Health for Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 at 6:30 PM, Harwich Town Hall, Don B. Griffith Room. As required by law, the town may audio or video record this meeting. Any person intending on either audio or video record this open session is required to inform the chair. Okay, since nobody's going to do that, any public comment?
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, Patrick Otten, East Harwich. I'm going to ask a simple question. Anybody not familiar with these signs? It says, caution, pesticide application, keep off. There's a picture of a dog, perhaps an adult and a child. Let me read to you what the Assembly of Delegates, which is a consulting advisory committee for the County of Barnstable, has to say about pesticides. Supporting the proposed home rule petition of the Town of Orleans of pesticide reduction. Be it hereby resolved that the Barnstable County of Assembly of Delegates, whereas scientific studies, associated exposure to pesticides with asthma, cancer, developmental and learning disabilities, nerve and immune system damage, liver or kidney damage, reproductive impairment, birth defects, and disruption to the endocrine system, and whereas infants, children, pregnant women, the elderly, and people with compromised immune systems and chemical sensitivities are especially vulnerable to pesticides effects and exposure. And whereas pesticides are harmful to pets and wildlife, including threatened and endangered species, soil microbiology, plants and natural ecosystems, and whereas toxic runoff from chemical fertilizers and pesticides pollute streams, lakes, estuaries, and drinking water sources, and whereas the use of pesticides is not necessary to create and maintain green lawns and landscapes, given the availability of viable alternative practices and products, and whereas people have the right not to be involuntarily exposed to pesticides in the air, water, or soil that inevitably result from chemical drift and contaminated runoff, and whereas sustainable land and building management practices that emphasize non-chemical methods of pest prevention and management and least toxic pesticides used as a last resort will eliminate the use and exposure to pesticides while controlling pest populations, and whereas sustainable land and building management practices complement other important goals of town's maintenance administration, such as energy conservation and security, whereas Orleans embraces a precautionary approach to the use of pesticides in order to adequately protect people and the environment from harmful effects of pesticides, and whereas application of chemicals simply for aesthetics/cosmetic purposes has harmful consequences for our ecosystems, children, and pets. Pollinators are directly harmed by the application, particularly the indiscriminate and long-term ineffective spraying of pesticides. Now, therefore, the Assembly of Delegates supports the home rule petition of the Town of Orleans to reduce toxic pesticide use on and in public and private property in the Town of Orleans. So, I'm before the Board of Health, which primary objective is the protection of the health well-being of not only the residents of Harwich, but also all living things. I want to ask that you bring this before yourselves, before the town of Harwich, and let's take action and follow suit. Why is this found on public property? I found one of these at the community center, town-owned land. I found one of these just outside the back door here, town-owned land. Why is the town of Harwich applying pesticides? If you want me to read it again, I will, but there's a harmful effect to this behavior and this action, and I'm asking that the Board of Health please takes action and prevent it, stop it.
I will put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
Where it goes from there, we'll have to see, but I will put it on the agenda.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
But you understand the seriousness
We
of-
can't discuss it.
of public land with pesticides, these signs posted.
All right,
on
so
public
we'll
land.
put it on the agenda. I won't guarantee it'll be in
Yeah.
December or January,
No,
but,
that's okay. Good.
but I will
I
say
will
that,
tell you, I will follow up with Orleans and put on the May town warrant an article duplicating what Orleans did to prevent homeowners from applying pesticides. I don't know if I can prevent the town, but you can, so, okay? So, no, I really appreciate your attention, you're listening.
I
Do
will
you want a
definitely.
copy of this?
Please, please,
You want me to leave this with you?
sure.
Okay. Great. No,
All
I
right,
really
thank you.
appreciate your
All right.
willingness to smile with my talk here, okay?
Well, no,
All
I'll
right.
definitely take it. I'll take it under, we will take it under
Yeah,
consideration.
Good, good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments? All right, minutes, we don't have any ready. Old unfinished business is none. All right, and I'm going to open up the public hearing for new business. Do you want to read that?
Sure. New business. Reconsideration of previous variance conditions, 11 Atlantic Street. Reconsideration of previous variance conditions of no increase of habitable space, no increase in square footage, no increase in the number of bedrooms.
All right,
Good evening.
good evening.
David Little from Ryder and Wilcox.
Okay.
We're representing Steve McCabe and Mike Tardamella, the architect for
Okay.
the new design, if you have any quick questions regarding that. So we submitted this application. Our client would like to construct a new dwelling on the site, which would increase the habitable space. And the prior approval, one of the variances granted was that there shall be no increase in habitable space. If you look at the site plan, the existing footprint is shown in red on a dashed line. The proposed footprint is shown in black. The actual footprint of the dwelling is being reduced slightly, but a second floor expansion is proposed. On Mike's building plans, if you had the opportunity to look at them, we're actually reducing the number of rooms in the house from 10 to 9, but essentially what the owner would like to do is, there are 4 very small bedrooms on the second floor, and they'd like to expand the second floor and basically make them bigger and create a nice open living area on the first floor. So it's a 5-bedroom dwelling. Now, it's going to be a 5-bedroom dwelling. The new structure, because we're located within a flood zone, would be elevated on a pile or pier foundation. So one of the granted variances was from the soil absorption facility to the foundation wall on the existing dwelling. That variance would go away now. So because we're elevating it on a pile foundation, that would no longer be part of the variances that were originally granted. The site, we consulted the nitrogen sensitive area map in Harwich. This site is not located in a nitrogen sensitive area, just so you're aware of that. And the actual habitable space within the house itself increases by approximately 25%. So, that being said, we've provided you with the plans, existing floor plans and proposed, so you could see what we would like to do. So we're respectfully requesting that we be allowed to increase the habitable space with a new dwelling on this site.
All right, is there any public comment? I don't know if there's somebody online, or, okay, go right ahead. Just please give your name.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Christopher Senni. I live in Brewster and have a small land use law practice there. I represent two neighbors who live across the street on Atlantic from the subject property. They are Gavin and Michelle Archibald. They live at 8 Atlantic. And the new habitable space is to a considerable extent going up in elevation. There's a second floor proposed, whereas about 2/3 of the house has no second floor today. So they will lose about 90% of their view of the water from the left side of their home. This is an issue that we should address to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we will, when this application goes before that board for a different procedure, one where the impacts on the neighbors is really studied. So I'm not here to oppose the application to change that condition of no additional habitable space, but just to let the board know that when this matter comes before the Zoning Board of Appeals, my clients will be asking that board to consider the impacts on them from the loss of view and also the what might be additional parking on a very tight and narrow street. But in terms of the matter before you tonight, you apply Title V and your regulations, and if you don't see any reason not to vary these, I understand that, and we're not here to oppose what you're doing. We're just expressing concern about the scope of this project, more in the context of the zoning process that will follow after this. Thank you.
So do you have something scheduled in front of zoning already?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, all right.
No, it's going to be a three-step process for us. This board, the Conservation Commission, and then zoning requires that we go last to them. So I think it's going to be several months before we get before the zoning board.
All right. All right, that's helpful. Okay. So you haven't been in front of conservation?
No, we're approaching this one step at a time, and we felt this was the most appropriate place to start because without granting a change to the approved variances, that would significantly impact what we would bring before the Conservation Commission.
All right, I see where you're coming from. All right. Is there anybody online? That SMS, okay. All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. The board, I'm going to start with you. Any questions?
Just looking back, I wasn't on the board back then, but with everything that was granted back in 2019, that septic has been changed over since then, correct? We're not still dealing with the same system
The
that
new
was all
sys-
altered back?
Yes,
into
the new
stuff?
system has been installed, inspected, and is in use.
And states here that that new system does not include IA technology?
It does not.
Is that it?
I mean, if we're leveling the house, would it be easy enough to add that in at this point, or would there be?
No, I think, frankly, we could probably swap out the existing septic tank and install a new one that would have a fast component within it that could provide the additional reduction in nitrogen that you're looking for.
So that would be an IA system?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Any other?
Yeah, just something for consideration.
Okay.
No questions.
Yeah.
I probably missed it. Is there an increase in how many people will be staying there?
No, not at all. No, it's a 5-bedroom house. It's going to remain a 5-bedroom house, and we're actually reducing the total number of bedrooms by one. The total number of rooms by one.
Any questions?
No, I think if you, IA system would probably be a good benefit I would say. Other than that, I don't have any problems with it.
What, in your experience, what does an IA system here on the Cape, or let's say even here in Harwich, cost, along with the maintenance fees?
This is
Just a ballpark.
ballpark.
Yeah.
The additional costs could be somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000, for instance.
For
And-
installation?
No, that's for the buying the unit. Then it has to be installed. In a situation like this, because this is a new septic tank, the size is such that that could be replaced with a tank of the same size. It could go back in with a fast unit within it that would provide that extra. Additionally, as you're aware, it would require the monitoring program. You'd have to set up within,
So you're saying that actually just to put the other tank in, let's say roughly around 10,000?
say 10 to 15.
All right, all right.
And please don't hold
No,
me to that.
I'm just looking for a ballpark figure, because we don't have a lot of experience with these yet. All right, and then what would you think the maintenance would be? Just roughly again,
Several $100s a year.
several hundred.
Several $100s a year. I kind of defer to Meredith on this, because if an IA system is installed, your board is generally the one, or the health agent will tell you what the inspection process should be, how many times a year. Oftentimes, when it starts out, you might have to do it 4 times a year to make sure it's running well, and then you reduce it to 2. So it's a process.
All right, so you're thinking the lowest, or the maximum, you're looking at just a couple $100 a year?
Minimum of a couple
Minimum.
hundred, perhaps 6 or 7. If
And
it
what do you
has-
think, what do you think the high end would be?
6 or 7. I
Yeah,
really don't, we usually design them and then we turn them over to the installer and the owner, so I don't have a real good answer
all
for
right,
that,
all
I'm
right, then I'm
sorry.
going to leave it at that, all right, because I've heard considerably higher.
And that may be true.
Yeah, all right, so then I'm going to leave that one go, and we'll check into that one.
Thank
All
you.
right, okay. So so the people aren't here, and that are,
The owner?
yeah.
Yeah, no, but he is watching, I believe.
Oh, all right. All right, so they would be willing to put in an IA system if we would require it.
I think that if this would allow us to move forward, so we could go to the Conservation Commission and then ultimately the Zoning Board of Appeals, yes, I can speak on behalf of the owner that this would be an appropriate way to go.
All right. Well, since I'm the last one asking a question, I'm going to take it a little further. Since you are going to be going to conservation and as well as to zoning, if we would postpone this until after you spoke with conservation, I'd kind of like to get their feeling on that in regards to the environmental sensitive areas, that wetlands or whatever you want to call that, in the front. Because I'm getting some different information on that. And I'd be curious for myself to get some of those answers and what conservation thinks about that, for me, before I would want to. Now, I'm going to bring it to the board for a vote to see how anybody else would feel. I'm just wondering what the cost of the IA is going to be, and where we stand with the actual conservation. So
I think I'm on board with what you're suggesting, by all means. It would be nice for Steve McCabe's purposes moving forward, if we at least had some sort of indication from the board that the project is approvable moving forward. You just want to hear from the Conservation Commission. We've been advised by our attorney that we need to go in these steps, and that's why
Right.
we're doing that.
Yeah,
I
and
think
I'll
that-
say conservation commissions typically don't weigh in on Title V systems because that's under the jurisdiction of the Board of Health, so I think it is.
I think you also,
Yeah.
I think you also have to recognize that right now, the current variance that the Board of Health had put on the property would prohibit us from expanding at all. So from a process standpoint, to know whether or not the development would even take place, to file with conservation, to file with zoning, which is somewhat of an undertaking from our standpoint, it would be, this is why we're here first. Because
right.
if
Let
that
me-
was not an option, then we wouldn't really even be able to pursue those things.
All right, let me tell you where I'm coming from, and then we can maybe come up with something that we can vote on. The current system, Title V, is less than 5 years old.
Only a few years old, yes.
Yes. And you're not in a nitrogen-sensitive area.
No.
So my question, and we're looking at some point, sewering there. Now, I know the phases have changed, and there is no definite decision yet on what phase that area is going to be in. I've been told it could be anywhere from maybe 7 to 12 years before they would come through there with sewering. For me personally, I don't know whether I feel comfortable requiring an IA system versus the system that you already have in. I don't have a problem with the actual project. For me, what I'm having some difficulty with is the septic system. Whether it's remains what is there, or whether we would require an IA. And I guess for me personally, I need some clarification on that a little further, which is the reason why I would like conservation, or at least to speak with them regarding that, before I feel comfortable moving forward. Now that, the rest is up to the board. Could we vote on the project and having, and having the decision regarding the septic system leave open? With the possibility that we may require IA. Is there a way to,
No, you wouldn't be able to close the
Saying that the
hearing.
house being leveled and totally raised and redone, if we're gonna even suggest that AI be there, is there gonna be a better time to do it than when it's leveled? I mean, I would say if
guess-
we're gonna approve the building, and if that's even on the table, and they're willing to do it now, do it now. Why wait on it?
I guess my feeling is if I were in that position, how I would feel. After just putting in a Title V septic system, it's less than 4 years old.
Thank you. This is Steve McCabe, the owner. I just want to chime in. I do appreciate you saying that because I spent quite a bit of money on that brand new system.
That's kind of where I'm coming from. Now, if conservation or someone else comes in and says, well, based on what was being called the wetlands, would be significantly impacted between now and the time the sewering comes through, then I would say I'd go with the IA. But if we're saying in 7 to 10 years, or whatever that time frame is likely to be, it isn't going to significantly affect that. Then I might have a different feeling.
But
For
we
me.
don't know if it's going to be 7 to 10 years right now, because like you said, things have changed, and we don't know
Well,
if in 2 years
and I'm
things are going
saying,
to change
from what
again.
I've been told, what's coming is probably going to be between 7 and 10 years. All right? So I've spoken to someone that says in all likelihood, that is when that's going to go through. So based on that is why
To be perfectly honest, I'm not concerned about the additional costs. I think anybody who has money to be able to raise a house with the cost of construction materials these days and build it from scratch, I don't think requiring the AI system would be a huge additional burden. I mean, the cost of the building materials alone to build anything these days is gonna be considerably more, so, I mean, I would argue against that.
And if it were you, how'd you feel?
I don't have nearly enough to handle that, so it's
Yeah.
not even in my cards.
I think the most important thing, I would not like to get the conservation, have this in any way be contingent upon the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission.
they're two separate.
That would be an awkward way to proceed. I would prefer to do what the board recommends this evening.
All right. I'm looking on the opposite sides of this. What our director, the Board of Health director, has put down as option 1 and 2. And the way I'm reading option 2 is that we don't have to require the IA I'm guessing at this point. Add these conditions if the board is to require an IA.
I would argue that if we're gonna approve it at this point, prior to anything else, that the IA should be required as part of it.
Okay,
I won't vote to approve it without the AI, not tonight. If we wanna wait for the Conservation Committee to chime in, again, not their position, you don't wanna wait that long. If you wanna walk out of here with approval today, I'd say we vote the AI in.
all right, so let's bring it up to a vote. You want to read it? Oh, it would be,
Be on the back of this.
it's on the back of
I'm
that.
gonna see it, yes, but, okay, all right. All right. Okay, so we're gonna read the,
Probably,
Want me to make a motion?
probably option 2?
option 2. Okay, move to approve the reconsideration of a previous variance condition for 11 Atlantic Street with the following conditions. The dwelling is restricted to a maximum of 5 bedrooms. No further increase in habitable space or square footage without further review by the Board of Health. No garbage disposal is allowed. The conditions and approval shall be recorded at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds. Okay? Now, if we want to add in the EAI,
We do.
okay,
I
then we would probably have option 2 with that AIN.
From what they're approving this.
So go ahead and read what's required there. You know, add these conditions if the board is to require an IA.
With these conditions, the board is going to, how are you going to put that in there?
No, we would be,
So
basically,
you
would-
just have to read 5 and 6
Okay,
if you guys are moving
okay,
forward with
all
the
right,
high
okay,
technology.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so number 5 would be innovative alternative technology is required. A signed operation and maintenance agreement for the alternate system shall be submitted to the Health Department prior to the release of the disposal system construction permit. The O&M agreement for the alternative system shall be included as required for testing. This testing shall be conducted in accordance with the Board of Health protocol.
okay, we have a second?
Second that motion.
Vote?
Aye.
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 No. Okay, you got it.
So the condition that there shall be no, yes, but just one question, the condition that there'll be no further expansion in habitable, that's of the plans.
the-
On the plan that
But
you
you
have now.
submitted,
Yeah.
The plan that you submitted, no additional space beyond what's been
Correct.
submitted.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too. Okay. Number B.
Number B. Request for alteration of existing tobacco license, fully baked smoke shop. Request for alteration of existing tobacco license from adult only to retail operations.
Oh,
Yes. Welcome.
good. You can sit down if you'd like.
sure.
Just state your name,
Paul Foley, owner of Fully Baked.
okay?
I would like to change mine from a 21 to a regular tobacco store so I can do stained glass and glass blowing classes.
So how does that change the tobacco?
What?
How does that change?
Right now, I can only sell tobacco products and to people over 21, but moving it to I forget what they called it, like a convenience store tobacco license, I can have other people come in.
Come in.
and-
All right, I see what you're saying, all right. Okay. All right. Any questions for the board, from the board?
Basically, the difference in the licenses just allows,
I can sell 5% tobacco vapes now, but when this first started, I thought a tobacco shop would be able to sell flavored tobacco, and that is not the case. So
as
now
far
I
as-
can only sell 3% and no 5% vapes.
still 21 plus though, but.
And anybody can come into the store now. I can only sell vapes to 21 plus, but
And then with the glass blowing classes, how does that affect that?
so it's, so I can have, I can only sell tobacco products. Now I can sell everything under the convenience license.
Okay, so the tobacco, yeah, tobacco only, all right. All right. All right. Any other questions? Questions?
I'm still confused, I think, on,
Go ahead, ask.
okay, your license you had before,
Right now, I can only sell tobacco products and to 21 plus people.
so that's all you have in your store right now,
Yeah,
tobacco products,
Tobacco only.
tobacco only.
yeah, technically.
So you have a license from us to sell that?
Yes, but right now I'm trying to go to a convenience store license and still sell tobacco products, but I can't sell 5%. I stayed at 21, I moved to a 21 store because I thought I was gonna be able to sell flavored tobacco and everything else, but they
That changed.
straight out banned it.
Okay, is that gonna reduce one of our tobacco licenses?
It'll reduce your 21 plus one. I think there's two of us, me and
I
Royal.
think it might affect the adult only.
Yeah. From what I heard, it's good for you guys. You're not gonna issue any others or anything, so
We're not going to.
No, not,
I don't know why
But can
tobacco is
we
so much worse than
Issue another
alcohol.
tobacco license?
Because I thought we decided not
I've
to.
already
do
got
that.
the tobacco license.
Yeah, I've already got
Yes.
tobacco. I'm
He
just
wants to change
changing
the-
it, a technicality
license.
of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
itself. So can we actually do that? Can we actually do that? I'm thinking we can
Yes.
change the license, because you're not returning it.
No, I'm just
You're
changing
gonna keep it,
it.
you just want to change it to a,
Convenience store
Retail.
tobacco, yeah, whatever it is.
so he's not really rescinding it.
No, just resending my 21 only license.
So that will decrease the number of,
Adult-only tobacco stores.
yeah.
Yes.
So that actually
But not the
increases,
overall number.
But not the overall
But
number.
it's not going to
That's-
change the overall number,
that's
yes.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah, all right,
That's fine.
okay.
Excellent.
All right, you want to make a motion?
Sure. Make a motion to follow Mr. Foley's request for alteration of existing tobacco license from adult only to retail operation.
Second that motion?
Okay, vote.
Aye.
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 Aye?
Aye.
All right,
All right, thank you.
you got it.
Have a good day.
Good night, have a nice Thanksgiving.
You as well. Don't forget stained glass and glass blowing glasses. Thanks.
So you're just visiting? Okay. All right, report of the health director.
Yeah, so I don't have much to report. The majority of our staff was able to attend the Massachusetts Health Officer Association Conference, which took place October 25th to the 27th in Falmouth. This is always a really good opportunity for the staff to go meet other agents from across the state, hear about some new topics going on, further our knowledge, and receive some continuing education credits. So, of course, keep up with our credentialing, and just keep informed on what's going on in other communities. We also did host our flu clinics this year, so the county administered around 60 flu vaccines at our employee-only clinic on October 24th. The Visiting Nurse Association administered 40 flu vaccines and about 40 COVID boosters for a total of 60 vaccines at the public clinic that took place on November 14th at the community center. So,
Okay. All right,
yeah, so
so there's no correspondence?
no exciting correspondence, I'm afraid. We've been too busy vaccinating and going to conferences, so.
All right, that'll work, that'll work. All right, so now we have the permits. These are the new ones. I guess there's,
Bubba's Bistro,
these are just single event ones.
single events.
And of these renewals, is there anything on this that we need to be?
No, so my understanding is that this is a list duplicated of licenses we had from last year. So these are who we anticipate to reapply. They're in renewal season right now, so we're still receiving their applications. But the idea is that there's no one new on this list. You approved all of them from last year. And if we do have all the list here right now, you can kind of do it in one fell swoop instead of piecemealing it.
I don't know if I've ever noticed this before, but, so the address is of the owner I'm taking, because I see here, we've got Orleans and Brewster and East Wareham, so that's the owner's address, not the address of the food service.
That's the street address, so some of them might be,
Well, we've got Wareham here.
I don't know what's going on with the Wareham one. I did just notice that one. It could have just
looked
been,
at it, I thought it was
it
like-
could have just been input.
That's nice.
Oh, that's
It's
the
even
ice, oh, that's an
Brewster.
ice cream truck that operates here.
All right, so that's, so I guess what I'm saying is, all right.
Oh, and you're looking under the Title V.
I just see that, I just see
Okay.
that, all right. All right, so this was the licenses only go down to the Title V. All right, I just spotted that. All right, can we have a motion?
Motion to allow the new permits, Bubba's Bistro, Dancing Spoon Food Truck, Mom and Pops, and Filling Station.
And those are single
Single events.
event. All right, do we want to do these separate from the,
Yeah, you can do them separately, so you
Alright.
can accept the single events and then
all right,
accept the 2024.
all right,
Second that motion.
all right, vote,
Aye.
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 aye. All right, 5 ayes.
Okay.
All right, make a motion to, go ahead, with the rest of
Make a
these.
motion to accept the rest of the permits,
License, 2024 license
License.
renewals.
license renewals for 2020,
4,
all license, okay, okay, to 24, okay.
okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, vote?
Aye?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5. All right. So then what are we doing with these Title Fives? Are we voting on anything?
For the Title V inspectors, or who are you looking at?
Yeah, the ti-
the license holder is based out of, they just apply for license.
Yep.
Our town, right?
I'm assuming that this food service and the address is the address within our town.
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
All right, so those are the ones going to be, that we just voted on, we're going to be within Harwich.
You also voted on the Title V inspectors, the septic haulers, rubbish haulers, and septic all the licenses
All the 24
who operate in Harwich. So
All
a
right.
Title V inspector their business location might be in Orleans, but they're licensed to inspect title
But we,
systems in
I thought we
Harwich.
just were doing the licenses for food service that we just did. Do we have to do these separate?
Oh.
Get the list.
In other
Did he
words,
just say all other licenses?
well, we didn't, we just said, I thought we were talking the food services. So if these are all the renewals, then I guess we covered everything.
Yeah.
All right,
You're accepting the 2024 license renewal.
They reworded it was all licensed.
All
right.
I would
I would say that
vote again.
includes everybody on
I
the
would
list.
vote it again, absolutely.
all right, all right. I think we're good on that.
Yes.
All right, and then I believe that we do have a schedule for next year. I don't know if she corrected that, but it
Yeah, we
said
just have to change the
2023.
top,
So the
yeah.
new one says, if not, it'll be 2024 when she hands them out. Those will be the new schedules.
But those are the dates.
All right. We don't have any work schedule. We have the 2024 schedule. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, you do need to vote on the 2024 meeting schedule, so you need to.
Oh, we have to vote on that.
You need to vote to accept, deny, or take into consideration.
All right. All right.
Aye.
We have to have a second. Make a motion to,
I'll make a
We need a
motion
motion.
to accept the new schedule for 2024.
Second that motion.
all right, vote.
Aye.
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 Okay. Aye.
All right.
Okay.
So now, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Now we have a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Aye.
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 Aye. We're done.
All right.